day for you to record. Every time we record, you said, just Tuesdays are not a good day for me to record.
Monday.
Fridays are not a good day to record. I
Twice.
told you Mondays aren't a good day to record.
Twice we were going to do on Sunday and you had to do something and we had to record on Monday and it was worse on Monday.
You're just, this is you. I mean, I don't know. I don't notice a
That's the
difference.
experience for you, but for me it's worse on Monday.
I don't.
You can't tell the
Brad,
difference.
Brad, it's just this bad for everybody with you every day. It doesn't matter if it's Monday or Friday.
But you don't have to. You're not me, so you don't have to feel what me feels.
Yeah, but shouldn't you be used to it by now?
Because I'm not. Whatever. Doesn't matter what I say, it's gonna come off funny and stupid. Because if I say I'm not as miserable today as I would be tomorrow, that doesn't make sense.
If you ever do a stand-up comedy routine, the name of it should be, it doesn't matter what I say, because everything will come off funny and stupid.
So what is this? So how are we gonna start this? We're gonna.
That's it. We started already.
Oh, okay.
So welcome to Movieisms.
On normal podcasts, yeah, you say, welcome to this show. On this episode, we're talking about this. For us, we just hit record and I start complaining, you laugh at me, and then we transition into...
That's a perfect way to start the show as far as I'm concerned. It warms me up. I get warmed up just by listening to you.
Because it makes your life better to see how shitty my life is. Because you can say, at least I'm not Brad.
That's pretty much sums it up. At least I'm not Brad. At least my life... that's the way I write, too. At least I don't have to live my life like that. Like these miserable people. So I've written all this misery down and... Yeah. So, welcome to Movieisms.
Is this 4?
I'm Becca Meyer. This is 4.
I'm Balding Ewok.
And this week we're going to talk about Deadpool, which we just saw yesterday. Finally.
Deadpool 2, not the
yeah,
first
Deadpool. Deadfool. That's you.
But I'm not dead.
Not yet, but when you are, that's a dead fool. Part 1.
To be continued.
Stay tuned!
Yeah. Be different in a few months.
We're going to talk about spoilers in this podcast, but we're going to talk about them at the end. So if you want to listen to the rest of this podcast, you're totally safe. But if you don't want to be spoiled, right after the theme music rolls out and everything else, the last thing you're going to hear will be our spoilers of the talk. We just have a couple of things we would like to talk about with Deadpool.
Right. So after we say goodbye and this podcast has been brought to you, whatever,
all
blah, blah, blah.
Right there at the end, there'll be another couple minutes talking about stuff that we would like to talk about, but can't because we don't want to spoil it for people.
So what was the question? What did I think?
Yeah, what did you think about Deadpool 2?
I thought it was great. I think I want to see it again because, like the first one, you don't get all the jokes. But I think the first one is definitely better, but that's because it's the first time we saw something like that.
Yeah.
And also, this time around, a lot of the, I don't want to say best jokes, but a lot of the best jokes were already in the trailers. So whenever the really funny things happened, I was like, okay, I know what the punchline is already. But audiences still laughed at it.
I felt like a lot of the jokes were in the trailer, but there were a lot of jokes that weren't in the trailer that were funnier than, I mean, because they catch you off guard. There's one scene sort of maybe in the middle of the movie where it's so honestly so funny that the audience was laughing so hard that you need to see it again because you can't hear what the people are saying because the jokes are landing so well with the audience that you don't hear what they're saying next. And it's annoying, but also very satisfying to see a movie that actually makes you laugh that hard. In the way that the backseat, the scene in the backseat of the car in Pulp Fiction makes you laugh when Marvin gets his face shot off. And and they're just yelling at each other. It's so funny. And then John Travolta's character starts complaining about, how his hands are dirty and maybe how the seat's not perfectly clean, but if they had some lava soap, he would be able to get the rest of this. Not some generic stuff. If maybe had some lava, maybe I'd be able to get this stuff off of here. It's that kind of funny where it's like, really? And it's not even raunchy. It's not raunchy. There's some raunchy humor in this, but it's not... It's not raunchy, it's just like stuff that makes you laugh uncomfortably at first, and then it keeps going, and then it just like sort of almost like avalanches over you where you just can't help but laugh.
By the way, speaking of the trailers, I do want to say one of the things I loved, one of the best things about the movie is that a lot of it wasn't spoiled. Because even in the trailers, like, I love the line about when he comes in, he said, I was busy gathering all the gluten in the world and throwing it into space so that no one can't not be bothered by it again. You know what I mean?
It can't not be bothered by it.
Wait, yeah, or can't not be allergic to it. I forget. It's funny, but when a lot of the moments that are in the trailer, when you get to them, he says a different...
It's a different stuff.
Line.
Yeah, they throw in almost like MacGuffin one-liners in the trailer, so that a movie like that, I bet they just like riff. They riff on things, and they probably don't know which ones to use, so they throw it in the trailer, and maybe something changes by the time the movie comes out, and they've changed it, or maybe they just make trailer jokes and drop them in there, and then so you see the movie, and it's just as funny, but you don't feel like you got spoiled everything.
I really appreciated that there were a lot of I didn't see that coming moments, especially you and I, as writers and people who love films so much that we obsess over them and talk about them so much so that when we see other movies, we already know what's going to happen because essentially every story is a copy of all the original stories that have been told in the past. Everyone's just doing a different twist. So it's nice and refreshing when you see a movie like Deadpool. And I will tell you, you don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. And especially when they spend 10 minutes building up certain things. And then within a minute, within seconds, all of that is just gone. And some people were shocked, but I loved it. I was like, yes, because I could see it coming, and I'm like, oh, that would be so awesome. Oh my God, he did do that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely,
So, what you're talking about is something that I was going to talk about too, but in relation to the story.
Yeah.
So, my complaint about this movie, one of very few complaints. First of all, it's like a laugh-a-minute sort of movie. It's truly funny from beginning to end. Some of it is shock humor, and some of it is genuinely funny situational humor. But the story suffers from it because they lean heavily on the comedy and stay sort of thin on the story. From the beginning, it seems very almost like sketchish, like Saturday Night Live sketch. Like sketch comedy, so they might spend time building out this whole sketch that ends, and then you go on to the next sketch. It doesn't really evolve the story much at all, and because of that type of thing, the story seems kind of thin, especially in the beginning. It feels like the movie actually could have been maybe 20 minutes shorter if they just got to the story parts. However, in a way, it's not really a complaint because the movie was highly entertaining from beginning to end. But they would do things like spend 10 minutes setting something up, and the whole thing is funny the whole time through. They're making joke. And then within 30 seconds, sort of almost like you select all on the page and hit delete and say, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this instead. And you do feel like they just spent 10 minutes on something for a joke, to tell a joke and to not progress. But it was hilarious. But you never really got to the story until, I'm going to say, maybe halfway through. They didn't start moving forward, you know.
Well, he's basically trying to get into heaven metaphorically. So he's trying to be good. He's trying to turn over a new leaf, and then when that doesn't work out, he makes the good guys join him on the, let's just forget trying to do it right. We're just going to do it.
Ryan Reynolds is a huge part of why the Deadpool movies work. His tone and his comedic timing, his understanding of the tone of Deadpool's character, which I'd never read a comic book. I never read the Deadpool comics. I don't know anything about Deadpool, but when I saw the first movie, I realized the sort of character he was, and realized that it's actually his understanding, and the writers, of course, but it's Ryan Reynolds, like, in the front seat, in the driver's seat of this thing, because if you put somebody else in charge there, it's likely to not be the same.
That's like
the tone of his voice and his own, I guess, taste in timing and comedic timing is so spot on for Deadpool that you can't deny his. It's like he becomes that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's like trying to do Pet Detective without Jim Carrey.
Yes. Yeah. Didn't you turn to me at some point in this movie and say, this is like Pet Detective? Or was it something else we were watching? I can't remember, but at one point you turned to me and said, this is like Pet Detective. And I remember thinking for a second, the fuck is he talking about? It may have been a trailer we saw.
I think it was a trailer. But I need to say...
Or The Mask. Like The Mask. The way Jim Carrey nailed The Mask.
Yeah.
And when they tried to do The Mask without Jim Carrey, no go.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with
Deadpool.
So, Deadpool. I give it, we don't really do stars here, but if I am going to give it a star rating, I'm going to give it like 4, maybe 4.5 out of 5. I was thoroughly entertained from the beginning to end, and it was hilarious. Honestly, there are multiple times in the movie where the crowd was laughing so loud you could not hear what was happening, what people were saying next. And in my movie lover brain, I hate that because I want to be able to hear every single word. I don't even like to miss the, I don't even like to be sitting down after the credits start rolling at the very beginning. I like to see every inch of the thing. But you can't help it if it's funny. I mean, the movie's doing what it's supposed to do and be entertaining, and it definitely did that. I'm going to say the story problems, for me, were just like a slow build-up to something that paid off from halfway through the movie on. The other stuff is like, again, they're going through almost like comedy bits, bits.
Everything that they set up is for an eventual punchline, even if you have to wait till the end of the movie or after the credits roll, and then you get a punchline.
Yeah. There are a couple of, at least 2, right? 2 post-credit scenes. And they're not the traditional Avengers post-credit scenes. They're just more stuff that you would say are just adding to the Deadpool joke count for the movie. Yeah. Like the amount of jokes that are in there, they get like a few more in. Sort of things that you might have put on outtakes or a gag reel for the DVD, but since everybody has gotten tuned in to staying around for post-credit scenes, they do it. And they are funny.
We can't say anything about them because it would spoil the movie. And I can't even talk about Cable that much other than very accurate. I mean, looking at his I don't want to say costume, but the makeup where the metal blends into skin. I mean, even better than you've seen in Terminator. And what's great is everyone looks exactly like they do in the comics. Yeah. All the art drawn, all those little metallic like muscle striations that are on Cable and all that. That is exactly how he looks. It's that's why I would give it like 4.5 stars as well.
James Brolin is so good at this part. He's very serious, and he's got the furrowed brow. He's like you really believe that. I mean, and he's pretty badass in the movie too. When they're struggling or early on, you're like, who's gonna win this? He actually is doesn't really have many jokes in the movie, but the one time that he does, and you can tell that everybody was just throwing things out, and they were just picking the best ones, really in kind of a way that like a Seth Rogen or a Will Ferrell movie might get made. But this is like a huge budget, like superhero. Well, not huge budget. I don't know how much money this movie got made for, but the first Deadpool only had a $50 million budget to it, which is low considering Infinity War just got made for $300 million. So, but I think it's good. It didn't really go stale. Like you think when you see Deadpool, you think, okay, I could see how that might get tiresome after a while. Oh, he's just like a smartass. He just keeps making smartass things. But as long as they can keep coming up with shit as funny as that, I'll go see every single Deadpool movie they make.
Yeah.
Because it didn't get tired at all. You could tell they worked really hard to put the characters in situations where they could make truly funny comments. And the whole self-aware, the fact that he's like you were saying, meta. Mm-hmm. Well, the fact that he's aware that he's in a movie, and he's aware that what's going on out beyond the screen and inside of the movie, his commentary on that stuff is also funny because you don't ever hear that. You don't ever hear that in a movie.
Yeah.
So when he does comment about it, you forget sometimes that he knows he's in a movie. And then when he says something, you're like, oh shit, that's right. But he's also making fun of it while he's doing it. He's making fun of the thing while like he's making the thing.
Somebody says a couple of things and he looks to the camera and goes, well, that's just bad writing. Right.
And this is a line that's in the trailer, so it wouldn't be a spoiler. When Cable says something and he says, wow, you're pretty dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe? Mm-hmm. I thought that's funny because it's trolling DC, but at the same time commenting that they're in a movie and that it's pretty dark for a Marvel thing. It's working on 3 layers, like on 3 different levels. I thought it was great. So highly recommended.
I think I have to... What did we give Infinity War? Did we even rate it? I thought that we gave it like 4 stars or something, but I didn't give it 5 because there wasn't, what do you call it? A high concept or a... Not a high concept. I don't know. There wasn't a redeemable message necessarily. It was just a lot of carnage and... a righteous villain, basically.
Well, and
it's part 1 of 2 things, so...
It's... I think Infinity War... We don't really know how good Infinity War is because we haven't seen the second half.
Yeah.
Infinity War
You saw it again.
Infinity War...
Did you change your mind from...
No, it's good. It's good. And none of it, of course, caught me off guard because I'd seen it. But I do think that... in the way that The Lord of the Rings is not 3 separate movies, but one long 9-hour movie or whatever, Infinity War is basically a 5-hour movie that we've only seen the first part of, the first half. So I don't really know. I know I enjoyed it. I felt entertained the whole time, but I don't really know how good the movie is until I...
The reason I was thinking about it is because if I'm giving Deadpool 2... 4.5, then I feel like I'd have to give Infinity War a 5.
Yeah.
And not give it marks off because it didn't have some kind of a message,
Part of me...
I think, but I have to see it again before I really do that.
It's weird because you know that I have sort of superhero fatigue and have had it for like 4 years now. It's never going away, I guess, because it's...
You have to be a Logan to get 5 stars, I think, because Logan was great.
So I don't No, I might have actually even liked Deadpool better than Infinity War. Deadpool 2 because of over Infinity War, because it's so just different.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like we said earlier, you can't predict what's going to happen. And if someone hasn't told you, you're not going to know. Well,
it's visually fun to watch.
We've talked for almost 30 minutes.
It's visually fun to watch. It's a spectacle, but at the same time, like, the action scenes are pretty well done as well. You don't really feel like numbed by a lot of this stuff. It does lean heavily on the comedy, and the action scenes in it really go to serve the comedy more than anything else. So I liked it. Yeah. I thought it was good.
It's also fun.
I'm going to take my daughter to see it.
It's also fun to have a protagonist or the hero of a story that you could. He's like Kenny from South Park. Have you ever seen South Park? Where in the first couple of seasons, every episode Kenny died for some reason, but kept coming back. Deadpool, it's kind of fun to have a hero that isn't invulnerable. It was fun that, his head could get cut off, or his arms or legs, or half his body could be off, or he could lose his powers for a while. He could, or something. It's nice to see. Anything could happen to him.
Yeah. But anything could happen to him, but nothing could happen to him. Yeah. Yeah. So, highly recommended. I would say see it. It's not one, if you're worried about what your kids are watching, it might not be something you want to take your 10 or 11-year-old kid. There's a lot of language, there's a lot of sex jokes.
A lot of violence.
A lot of violence.
Heads and arms and legs. And there's there is a genitalia at some point, but I won't tell you who. But you will see it. Well, maybe. You might not see it. It's easy to miss. In fact, if it wasn't for the audience laughing and me doing a double take, I don't think I would have noticed what was happening.
Oh, man. So, that sort of leads into our conversation on, like, anti-heroes. What do you think it is about, we just spent a couple minutes on this, what do you think it is about these days where a lot of, like, stories revolve around people who are not, like...
It's a trend. In the past 10 years, I
know it's a trend. I really think it may have been started with Breaking Bad. Not started with, because there have been anti-heroes before, but Walter White is not a heroic person. He's a selfish person who ends up becoming like a true monster in the end of the thing. But you somehow sympathize towards him.
Yeah, we started, I feel like around the time Wolverine started coming out, and I know I was complaining. I don't know how many people were. I wasn't paying attention, but I'm sure a lot of, especially Wolverine fans, were complaining about how G-rated Wolverine was, and that's not Wolverine at all. But you could see throughout all the Wolverine movies, or the movies that Wolverine is in, that he gets more and more violent to where you get to Logan and just anything goes, pieces are flying off. There's kind of a progression from, no, we can't let anyone see that, to, oh, well, let's just let him be who he is.
But what do you think?
I think it's like what you were saying, superhero fatigue. We've had Superman, who's perfect. He's got way too many powers, ridiculous, but we still like him. And too often we've seen movies where the good guy, even if he doesn't have superpowers, just an action star, is pulling off all of this amazing, ridiculous stuff that 1 in a billion chance he could pull off the one thing, but then he does like 20 different things that are 1 in a billion chances and makes it out alive and saves a girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we're all fatigued by it.
Yeah.
And we relate more. That's why Last Jedi, You know, that I think that's why we were talking about liking. Yeah. He was Luke sort of became an anti-hero.
Yeah.
But I think it's because we relate to that more. We're human, and we see people who are perfect. You know, idol worship, like we have idols, you know, celebrities and famous people that were like, and then there's that saying, never meet your heroes, because when you do, you realize that they're flawed. You'll
be disappointed.
So I think it's nice that when you start out, look, he's messed up, but he or she can also do great and amazing things.
I was just realized while you were talking that I don't know when it started, but it wasn't Walter White with Breaking Bad. The Sopranos was another show that was happening long before.
We were rooting for the bad guys.
Where you're rooting for the bad guys.
Dexter.
And Dexter.
Oh, again, God, I love Dexter.
Yeah, so the thing is, I just don't know. I think is it somehow like you really care for Dexter, especially in the first 3 seasons. After that, you start to care less and less because he.
You know, one thing. By the way, Todd McFarlane might have had a little to do with it. He started the Spawn comics, and that was a big deal. That was really popular, although it wasn't done properly when it became a movie. And when they did a limited series on HBO, animated series. But I think, I know I did. I fell in love with, once I wasn't a big comic person because I was poor. I couldn't afford the comics. And if I spent the money to buy a comic, you only get like 5% of the story. And it's like having a big pie, but you can only take 2 bites of it, and you got to wait another month before you can take 2 more bites.
Yeah.
That's what comics are like for me.
Yeah.
So I would just wait and then watch a show on it or read the whole thing together. But Spawn, so I didn't even know about it till it was announced as a movie. But after it became a movie, I learned more about it. But he was he was like not a hero at all. He was like a demon, the devil. By the way, that's also popular in Japan. A lot of anime TV series and anime movies. That's been a thing since before it became a thing in America.
What, the anti-hero?
Demons being bad guys. The whole idea that a demon could be good.
Oh, you mean demons being good guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we demonize demons. They're not so bad. Like
they're not so bad.
It's like an allegory for racism or something. That just because he's a demon doesn't mean, he's evil. Yeah, I think it's because we're opening our minds to just because, someone's black or brown or whatever race or country you're from doesn't mean you're any one thing. Maybe that's why the anti-hero is becoming more popular, because we're opening our minds to not judging people and putting people in boxes.
It's weird, though, because you say that, but part of what we like about the anti-hero, a lot of times the anti-hero in the story is actually a bad guy that we're rooting for.
You know what?
It's not like we should be more accepting of this guy as he's beheading this innocent person just to get what he wants. Or Walter White, who's selling drugs and killing people just to preserve his own ego and narcissism.
Dude, I just had an epiphany. What if Trump is an anti-hero? Dude, because he is not.
No.
At all. But somehow.
No. He might be a righteous villain.
There you go. Okay.
But he's not an anti-hero.
There you go. That's what it is.
If you're listening to this, and that Trump thing was still in there, that means we finished recording our show, had a conversation about whether we should leave it in or not, and then Brad and I decided it's okay to leave in.
Hey, that's both sides, right?
Yeah.
Even though I said anti-hero, but it's still...
Oh my God.
I just ruined the podcast.
Now I'm just pissed and I don't want to talk about Han Solo. I actually also don't really want to talk about Han Solo anyway, because
I'd rather.
Here's the thing about Han Solo. Okay, so...
We can't really judge it until we see it.
Rewind, because when I was 10, and I'd seen the Star Wars movies, and Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford was the movie star of my childhood. Like, some people grew up being in love with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I did.
But Harrison Ford was my movie star. You know, it's like, you're like, not my president. Like, Harrison Ford was my, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was not my movie star. It was Harrison Ford. Han Solo is one of my favorite characters in movies ever. He's funny. He's an anti-hero, as we were just talking about. He's at least a reluctant hero.
Yeah.
He is reluctant to be anything other than what's in it for me. He's shrewd and funny, but he's not being funny. He's just sarcastic, and the pairing between him and Chewbacca, it just clicked for me. I loved it. Now, what, 30 years later, now they're putting some kid in there, and
who has nothing like the personality of Han Solo at all, like in real life and from all the scenes I've seen.
Yeah. My complaint about just the trailer, like, we have not seen the movie yet, it hasn't come out. My complaint about the trailer is, instead of making Han Solo a wisecracking, sarcastic, swashbuckling, like, type, they've turned him into sort of a bumbling idiot. Like, he's a goofball. Han Solo, I do not believe that Han Solo started out as a goofball. You know what I mean? He may have been young and dumb. But that character of Harrison Ford is shifty. Not Harrison Ford. Han Solo is shifty. Han Solo wiggled his way to where he was when we saw him in A New Hope.
Manipulated.
He did not Forrest Gump his way into there. It's like, oh, I guess I'm here now. Life is like a box of chocolates. Hey, Chewie. You know, I don't believe that he stumbled his way up to where he was.
Yeah.
I'm worried that it's going to be just a disaster. Okay, so the movie...
You know, by the way, there's a big protest online trying to get everyone who feels that way to not go see the movie so that it bombs in the box office, so that we teach them a lesson. Don't make movies like this, and fire that person who's making them. But you and I are going to see it anyway.
Here's the deal. So the movie Solo, A Star Wars Story, started out with two completely different directors. They were traditionally comedic directors, and they were hired because their movies, if you give me a second here, they were hired because of movies that they'd made had been successful, but their deal was that they did a lot of improvisation on their set, and they were figured out as they went along sort of people. And this did not sit well with the Kathleen Kennedys, the Disney people. Is
that her name, the
Lucasfilm.
one that everyone hates?
Yeah, well...
They want to get her fired because they say that she keeps firing those directors because they're not doing it the way she wants it to be. Which is the way...
Yes, however, Kathleen Kennedy is... Because she's keeping a tight grip on the property, the IP, the intellectual property, I don't think is worth firing her.
I think they want to fire her because a thing like Han Solo story, a Star Wars story, exists. These guys got fired, and then they brought in Ron Howard to sort of save the day. Ron Howard is a great director. He's made a lot of classic movies. He's made hits. So if you're going to get somebody to come in and play cleanup, Ron Howard is a safe bet. So, but my concern is that before Ron Howard took over, the movie was already a disaster. And when they fired somebody and replaced somebody instead of coming in there to pick up the pieces and put things back together, I feel like the movie, if it's bad, it was bad then, and there's nothing Ron Howard could have done to fix it. You and I have been on enough projects where we're asked to come in and clean up a mess to where it's too much of a mess to clean up. I just have to stop the bleeding, and it's just going to be this big wound.
So I feel like if it was a mess, it was a mess before Ron Howard ever took over, and it's got to be stressful for him because if it's bad, I'm sure he knows it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and he probably contractually can't admit it.
No, he's not. He's not. And why would he? Because he needs it to do well. He needs it to do well, so that he could have saved the day. So the original directors I was looking up while we're talking are Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who directed the original Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street. So they are comedic guys who made comedies and came in. They were doing their thing, and then they're like, well, what are these two goofballs doing in here? We got to get rid of them. So they didn't like the shoot from the hip nature of their sort of filmmaking. So they brought in Ron Howard, who was like a very traditional like story film director, storyteller type. I'm worried. However,
yeah, I mean, can you imagine them making Chewbacca go instead of we don't need Chewbacca improvising. He needs to do it exactly as it's on the script, like R-A-R-A-R-A-D-D-A-D-A Row. How do you write for Chewbacca? Chewbacca fucked up the movie. Couldn't say his damn lines.
I'm not really buying the from Chewbacca. However, I'm going to say this. In the past couple of weeks, they've actually shown the movie to critics. Not the critics, but the movie's premiered and people have seen it. And the buzz on the movie is, oh, wait a second, it's not as bad as we were thinking it was going to be. So maybe the movie is not going to be like a couple of years ago when Marvel released Fantastic Four, and it was just like they didn't let anybody write reviews on it or anything. Like nobody knew how bad it was until it first came out. So maybe it's not going to be. Maybe people were just like worried that it was going to be bad. I think that. Our complaint might still be, or at least my complaint might still be a valid complaint, because there's no getting around the fact that they're making Han Solo look like an idiot.
My complaint,
like a lovable idiot.
My one and only complaint, which is similar to yours, but my specific complaint is I don't like the guy or the actor. I've seen him in real life, and I've seen scenes from his acting, and he's just not. I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is he looks like he could be. He's got the looks. He looks like a young Han Solo, but
maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot.
He's not. And whenever you see him like where he's being himself, he seems very reserved and bashful, and just doesn't really want to say anything.
So I'm worried. However, as usual, at least for the sake of our show, we have to go see Han Solo, because, I mean, what else are we going to talk about next week? It's either how good or how bad Solo is. I mean, it's like, what else are we going to talk about?
If we hate it, it'll be a fun show, and if we love it, I don't know, it might be a fun show.
So,
either way, it'll be a fun show, I think
it's cool that Donald Glover is Lando. You've mentioned it on the show before. Lando Calrissian. He's great at everything he does, and he's having sort of like a hot streak right now with Atlanta, and then his song, This Is America by Childish Gambino. The music video for that
what is that
like
called?
Something...
Is it trap music or trap pop?
I have no idea.
I think it's called trap music. It's a very weird, methodical style.
It's so... it got something like 50 million views in just within 48 hours or something on YouTube. So he's having like a hot moment right now, and I'm pretty sure that having him in Solo is going to help Solo. And then if we go and it's actually good, we'll be like, oh, it was also good. But Donald Glover, I'm actually more excited to go see him in the movie than...
You know what? this very well could be the Lando Calrissian movie, and Han Solo is just like a little side piece to it.
I think are they doing a Lando Calrissian movie?
I thought that's what this is.
Well, I wonder if it's, I don't know. Well, it is. He's in it, but he's
the one black person in the universe.
He's one black person in the universe. Yeah. So until we went even further back in time, and Sam Jackson.
Right.
Sam Jackson was the original one black person in the universe, but there's only room for one black person in Star Wars.
So all of these, like the Lando Calrissian and a Stormtrooper, they're all just lineage from the original only black person.
Yeah, they're all related. They're all related.
That's our theory.
That's our theory. Millennium Falcon looks a little bit different. I'm curious to see what happens because the Millennium Falcon actually looks different.
Right, it's all shiny and new as opposed to beat up.
But its design is different too. The front of the Millennium Falcon, have you not noticed, is it's closed off instead of like the two. The what's it called? Millennium Falcon always has these two things right in the front, right? Yeah. But the images of it now shows it coming to a pointed tip at the very front of the ship.
Oh, okay.
So some things different.
They'll probably add on to it later.
When I first saw the trailer, I was like, why does the Millennium Falcon look different? And apparently that was something that everyone said, but really what it was is they think, Han Solo modified the ship after he got it from Lando Calrissian, so maybe he modified the thing.
Those kind of people, I mean, the Han Solo's character is, you just go around getting what you can get when you can get it. So I would assume that throughout the life of the Millennium Falcon, if you scam a certain person or do this certain thing, and, let's add that onto the ship, or your ship gets damaged, and
Yeah. So I'm not even optimistic. I'm cautious. Like you would say, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not optimistic. I want to like it, but I'm not optimistic.
I'm jaded. I'm so after. Even though I've found things that I greatly love in the prequels, I equally both hate and love the prequels. Because there are just characters that wouldn't exist if the prequels weren't there. Darth Maul, General Grievous is one of my all-time favorite characters. I love the pod races. There's some other characters in there.
Let's change the subject.
And the fighting in those movies is amazing. The best lightsaber choreography I've ever seen in Star Wars. Yeah. So, and the music. I've said this before. The dun 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 dun. It's great.
You should take that. That on the road, Brad.
The I love that.
Yeah. Well, John Williams.
I feel like if
anyone owns the music from that franchise, it's John Williams.
My theory is if you take out Jar Jar and take out the Anakin, the terrible acting from both people that played Anakin, just take them out. Great movies.
I think if you take out the bad writing, it would be a better movie.
Oh, yeah, the midichlorians.
It's not even...
They screwed up the Force in episode 1, saying that it's just some people have some midichlorians in their bodies so they can use the Force. No, everyone can use the Force.
Well, no,
it's in everyone. It binds everything together.
We don't have time to get into it now, but I have a whole thing.
We'll have a Han Solo episode.
I have a whole thing on why the prequels were bad. It doesn't have anything to do with Jar Jar Binks or Anakin Skywalker. It has to do with the arc that they went with over the 3 movies.
But they're the arc. Anyway,
yeah. So
they hold the movies together. Get rid of them.
They're bad, and he for some reason found a way to like the movies. A couple more things before we go. We have t-shirts, Movieisms t-shirts, and we have something like 9 left, I think, and we're going to give all of them away. And here's how.
We want basically we don't want to beg for reviews on iTunes, so we're bribing. We're going to bribe you
Right.
with the free Movieisms t-shirt if you give us... Now, wait a minute. What if they give us a shit review? Like, I don't like the woman on the show.
Well, I don't like the woman on the show either. But there's nothing I can do about it now, is there? No, it can't be a shit review. It's got to be
It's an actual bribe. Go
to iTunes, and you're already listening to the show, so you must like us, or at least you haven't decided whether you like us or not yet. You haven't decided you don't like us yet. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star review, like write up a review. This podcast is like a description. The way iTunes works is reviews bump you up higher and higher into the search results. And for a new podcast that's only got like 4 or 5 episodes out, is really hard to show up at all. Send us that and let us know you did that.
Well, we need some way to identify with you. I mean, we have to get their email address so that we can email them what to do.
And we will send you a shirt. So the email that we need you to send that to is movieisms@gmail.com. And we will send you a shirt. We'll get your info from you, like size. We have extra large and large mostly. But that's the deal. Please go do that, and we will give them away. We're gonna order hats soon as well. And we're gonna come up with a different giveaway for the hats. But like, I'm not even keeping one of the shirts. Did I give you a shirt? You have a shirt, right?
I have a shirt.
Yeah, so we're going to post a picture of Brad wearing the shirt so you can see what the shirt looks like. It's a black t-shirt with the Movieisms logo on it, though. Use your imagination. That's it for this week. Our website is also up. By the time this episode comes out, we'll have a website. Movieisms.com. That's Movieisms.com.
Everything will be on there. You can sign up there if you want for our email, our newsletter, which we will let you know when we're on live, so you can join us.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And we're going to start doing some live things. We're going to start doing a couple other things.
We want to do a lot of interactive stuff with the audience and the people, because we want to, I don't know, play games about our favorite movies or have some contests. We'll give out more stuff in the future, but we want to do this show with people.
Here's the deal. Having a conversation with me and Brad, or Brad and I, or whatever, is okay. It's fine, but I'd rather have the conversation. I'd rather be talking to someone other than Brad, because you sat here for like 50 minutes now. You heard this, right? Do you see how annoying it is to talk to him?
I have good points.
I'm on a diet.
I frighten children. Yeah, that's my new tagline.
All right, so that's it. Please go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. And once you do, just let us know. We'll go looking for it to make sure it's there, and then we'll get your info and send you a shirt. We greatly appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter. I'm Beckemeyer. He's Balding Ewok.
Yep.
And hit us up at movieisms@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we will see you again next week.
We'll put all of our stuff on the website. I'm going to do that tonight. All the links. Like, we're on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes.
Yep.
Are we on Stitcher as well?
We're on Stitcher as well.
So I got to put all that up tonight.
It's really hard not to listen to us because we are on like 4 big places now. So, well,
the only place we're not on is YouTube yet, which I've already had someone ask me to put our shows on YouTube, so I might do that soon.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's it. We will see you again next time, where we'll be talking about Solo, the Han Solo story, and we'll see if it's good or not. Let us know what you think prior to this. Let us know what you think. Is it going to be good, bad? You going to see it anyway? Or are you going to be one of these, outrage people on the internet that are deciding to boycott the movie so that they don't make a movie? What irritates me about that right there is you don't know if it's bad or not. But you're boycotting a movie that you don't know is bad. You just think it's bad because you decided it's not what you want it to be.
Yeah, I have to say I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
I don't agree with anyone that makes judgments before they've read the thing or seen it, and you're just boycotting.
You're boycotting something you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So you're jumping to conclusions, and that's actually part of the problem with this world.
It's not an educated opinion, it's an ignorant opinion. But the word ignorant means Uninformed.
That's our new show tagline. Not educated opinions. These are ignorant opinions. The end. All right, we'll see you next time.
The end. I hate the girl on the show. Right.
Okay, so welcome back. The show's over. Those of you that are listening now are
You're the cool ones.
You're the ones that have seen the movie and would like to talk about spoilers. If you are listening to this section and you have not seen the movie, we are going to spoil it for you. Turn it off now or keep listening at your own risk.
Okay. So, baby balls.
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit in the show, but probably one of my favorite moments, and it seemed like the audience we were watching the movie with, one of their favorite moments, because all the laughter was laughing over like half of the jokes you couldn't really hear, was basically the Basic Instinct moment where Deadpool has been amputated and he's growing his legs back, but they're little baby legs, and then he does the Basic Instinct cross his legs and you see, baby dick. And everybody's tossing out like one-liners, and my favorite line that I heard in that section was Cable saying, "Well, thanks to you, now I know what a grown man looks like with baby balls." And it was so funny because up until that moment, Cable had not been a funny person. He was like all business, and he was like very straight man. It was very straight man. Well, thanks to you, my life is. But that scene somehow kept getting funnier and funnier and funnier. And then they made him stand up and walk, and something about that made it even funnier. Like, how is he? I think somebody said, "How are you even holding yourself up right now?"
I might have said that because
it was so funny.
Baby legs couldn't hold up what had to be 75 or maybe.
Had to be
80 pounds.
Yeah. It was hilarious. Anyway, that was good, and then there was, of course, the Juggernaut stuff that we're.
Yes, I didn't think it was a spoiler, but then we talked to Rob Goki, who had just watched the movie while we were doing the show and talked about Juggernaut like right after we did, and we're like, "Are we live?" But no, so because what you looked and you couldn't find any trace of
there was no mention of Juggernaut in the
IMDb credits.
In the IMDb, there's nothing. It's like it's a well kept secret, and we didn't want to spoil it.
But you just couldn't. I wouldn't let Mike do this episode without talking about it because it's one of my favorite moments to finally see Juggernaut done right, do justice to it. Very satisfied with Juggernaut being done correctly. It was.
Is Juggernaut? Did we know Juggernaut was in the movie before we saw the movie?
I didn't, but because I didn't want to spoil it. But he was done right, exactly how he was supposed to be. I'm just saying, for anyone who saw X-Men 3 and wanted to poke their eyes out and delete it from their brains, that was oh god! They just put a paper mache mask on the guy and said, "Okay, that's Juggernaut." Okay, this was like, he was 2 or 3 times the size of a 6 foot, 7 foot tall person. At least twice the size, right? He's like 12 feet, I think, 11, 12 feet.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, he's
huge.
It was very satisfying.
I don't know the character. I know that, what is he, invincible or something? With that helmet on?
With the helmet, yeah.
So, is he like Hulk?
Basically. But he doesn't get stronger the madder he gets. You just can't, if you don't take the helmet off, you can't stop him.
So is he traditionally a bad guy in the movies? Or is he...
And I don't know if...
Not in the movies, in the comics, I mean.
Yeah, in the comics, yes. And I don't know if in the MCU he's Xavier's brother, but in the comics he is. But they don't pay any attention to that at all.
Yeah, there's no mention of it.
Yeah, and we were even discussing that technically Xavier until Patrick Stewart played him, wasn't really British.
Well,
so
nobody played him beforehand because there's never
not live action, only in cartoons with voices, voiceovers.
So he never had an English accent.
Not that I remember.
Okay.
But Patrick Stewart was perfect, so and James McAvoy was great too.
I'm gonna say that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are two brilliant casting strokes that were made. The very first X-Men that is honestly what kept that series from going total camp at a certain point.
Hugh Jackman as well.
Hugh Jackman too, and they've made good casting choices all around. Yeah, Hugh Jackman is another good one. But Ian McKellen, I mean, those are Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. Those guys are like true actor, like Shakespearean actors who bring a lot of weight to what you might easily be able to say is just silly comic book movies, on one level.
Yeah, but especially when you see Logan, then you're really, regardless if you like realistic movies and you don't get into all the supernatural mumbo jumbo, you could watch Logan and really emote with the characters. You really feel what's going on.
And the other thing that we both thought was funny was the X-Force team getting totally annihilated, just moments after they formed. X-Force. And then
he kept whispering
X-Force.
Even on the gurney when they're pushing him away, X-Force.
And then they're all dead except for Domino. Now the thing about that is that was one of the moments that I was talking about earlier in the show where it's like they spent 10 minutes setting up maybe not 10 minutes, but they spent a significant amount of time setting up the casting of the X-Force, and we're putting a team together, blah, blah, blah,
and
blah,
by
blah.
the way, that it was spoiled, too, because between the trailer and everything you saw, we could tell that they're putting together X-Force. He even says X-Force in the trailer.
Yeah.
So that was a spoiler for the movie.
However, not really.
Not really.
Because they die. They don't even make it down to the ground from the airplane. When the helicopter blades, like he had the whole outfit, and it's great because I saw it coming, but then something in my head said, no, they're not going to do that, because no one does that, and you don't build up, hey, we're going to do X-Force, and there might be an X-Force movie, and then helicopter blade and his green goo, like, what was the green goo? Is he green-blooded or blue-blooded or something? No, he said he was an alien from another planet.
Okay.
That's what he said he was.
Oh.
But it was, what was funny about it
the wood chipper.
The wood the deaths kept getting more and more, like, outlandish. And it felt like a joke that if it wasn't funny, it would have gone on way too long. But it was funny. And it kept getting funnier because you don't expect... it's like a fool's errand to set up the whole thing and then they just all die. And then I thought we were going to get the whole rest of the movie with the regular guy who had no superpowers because he's the only one that survived. And I thought, that's the hilarious thing.
I sort of kind of expected that just from the trailers and stuff.
And then didn't he get hit by a car or something?
Something like that. I don't remember. I don't think it was a car. It was something else. I don't remember.
So guess who it says on IMDb played the Vanisher? Who we never saw once at all.
Yeah,
never heard a voice.
I saw that.
It's Brad Pitt. They said it's Brad Pitt, and I don't know if that's a joke or...
What do you mean? Because the Vanisher doesn't say anything, and it's invisible the whole time.
Sure
you don't
Vanisher
see anyone.
Doesn't say anything ever?
All you see is like just a parachute coming out of the plane.
Well, that was Brad Pitt.
What a waste of money to put him in a green outfit and green screen and everything just to take him completely out.
I don't think it's really him. I think it's
a Deadpool joke.
It's a Deadpool joke. And like, hey, Brad Pitt's in our movie. He's the Vanisher.
Yeah.
Was there any other spoilers? Oh yeah, we talked about the post-credit scenes.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's another one of my favorite moments. Because after all that happened, I had the thought, well, now, Deadpool could just go back and fix everything, he save his wife and all that, and they actually did it. That's what I love about the movie so much, is when they were alluding to, they kept building up, knock down the biggest guy when they were in prison, got to take down the biggest guy, and they kept talking about it. I just knew instantly. I don't know if not knew, but I wished. I was like, oh, it's got to be Juggernaut, And then when it happened, I love that movie because it kept making my thoughts in my head come true. Mm-hmm. I would think, oh, do this, and yeah, it was wonderful. It was awesome.
But what about him, Deadpool, going through and cleaning up his own the Ryan Reynolds timeline?
He kills the original botched Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah, just kill it.
And he even shoots himself in the head over the Green Hornet script.
Green Hornet, Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, right. And I couldn't tell what he was saying because our audience was laughing so loud, but I think he said something like, "This is great." And he just blows his head off. And it's funny. It's funny that he goes,
But that was, what was also funny is the whole entire audience who have now been trained by Marvel not to leave. After those credits left, I knew that was it. Yeah. But everyone stayed till the very end, and the screen was black for like 10 seconds, and people were still sitting there. And then I heard a, "Aw, come on!" I'm like, "You just got two."
Yeah, it fades out. No, wait. Here, there's gonna be another one. And it goes to black. The lights come on, and everybody, like, there's more people in the theater at the very end of a movie than I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
except for in a Marvel movie. Like they're all just standing there, like, holding their breath. And then nothing happens. And there's like somebody was disappointed in the back. I was like, "Oh man!" Like they got ripped off.
Yeah, I mean, everyone got a post-credit scene. It just came earlier,
and it was hilarious.
Yes,
that was hilarious.
What all did he fix? He saved his girlfriend. He saved all they showed was him saving Jim or Barry, or I can't even remember his name. The white guy.
You mean the
no powers guy?
The no powers guy.
They just showed him doing that, but technically, I assume he saved the whole X-Force so they could do the X-Force movie.
Who knows?
But there are a lot of different people on the X-Force team, so it could be, they could do it any way they want.
So I mean, those were just a few spoilers. We could have talked about a lot more, but we wanted to keep the spoiler section short, I guess. But that's our talk on Deadpool. We hope you liked this. Is there anything else?
We loved it. It was great.
And I really enjoyed being able to talk about some of the things that we couldn't really talk about.
We solved the issue. Put the spoilers at the end of the show. We'll just announce it on every episode. We're going to put don't worry about spoilers, because we'll put them at the end. Yeah. That way we can get it out. Because I couldn't tell you. The whole time I just kept thinking, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time for Solo, a Star Wars story, and hopefully there's decent spoilers to talk about then as well.
Yeah, who knows?
Now it's the end.
The actual real ending.
The actual real end. All right, see you.